a little kiss, sweet dreams, till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting the ceremony in about 5 minutes. So if you're trying to get yourself a beverage or something, get that, and then we please ask you to take your seats.
Buzz, 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 fading, but I linger on, dear. Still craving your kiss. Yeah, I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear. Just saying this, sweet dreams, dreaming
till sunbeams find you. Keep dreaming,
gotta keep dreaming.
Leave the worries behind you, but in your dreams, whatever they be, you've gotta make me a promise, promise to me. Dream a little dream of me.
Can I call you Rose? 'Cause you're sweet like a flower in bloom. Can I call you Rose? 'Cause your fragrance takes over the room. Darling, I wanna plant you in my heart. Oh, so love can grow. Can I call you Rose? 'Cause your thorns won't let love in too soon. Can I call you Rose? 'Cause your roots have the power to consume me. I wanna plant you in my heart. Oh, so love can grow. I was meditating on love and you and roses, and the universe told me, put it in a love song.
Ladies and gentlemen, could you please take your seats? We'll be starting the ceremony. Please take your seats.
Won't you let me in your heart? Your heart. Oh, your heart.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. I'm gonna wait. Good evening, everyone. To those here and those watching online, welcome to the 44th Annual Alumni Tribute Awards. It's Memorial University's centenary year. My name is Gurpreet Kaur Bains. My friends call me Preet. And I am a proud member of Memorial University. I'm a student in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'm very honored to be your co-MC this evening, alongside with my fellow student, Russell Noseworthy. And Russell is a fifth-year Bachelor of Commerce co-op student in the Faculty of Business Administration. He is a recipient of the Toronto Alumni Scholarship, a youth basketball coach. Successfully managed the Student Investment Fund, now valued at almost $450,000. Yeah, it deserves a bit of applause. Student Council President for his class and is the co-chair for the 61st Annual Business Day celebrations being held in 2026, guys. No?
Thank you so much, Gurpreet, or I'll call you Preet, since we're all friends here tonight. I'm so grateful to be here and to co-MC with you. Preet is from Malaysia and is currently in her fourth year of a Bachelor of Arts degree with a double major in anthropology and religious studies. She's an active member of the on-campus dance group Rhythm Village, and last year was Vice President of Events and Planning at the International Students Resource Center. I'm pleased to share the stage with you tonight, Preet. As two future alumni, we're thankful to have this connection with alumni and friends.
Thank you, Russell. The support from Memorial's alumni community helps support students in multiple ways that really make an impact. We would like to begin this evening by inviting Bob Jowden, the chair of Tribute Awards Selection Committee, to deliver the land acknowledgements. Bob Dowden.
Good evening and thank you. We acknowledge the land on which Memorial University's campuses are situated are in the traditional territories of diverse indigenous groups, and we acknowledge with respect the histories and cultures of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, Inuit of the province. We acknowledge everyone to reflect on the lands where we are located and the indigenous people for whom these lands are traditional territories. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight as chair of the Alumni Selection Committee. It's a wonderful full circle moment to be here to see the results of many hours of my fellow committee members pursuing the nominations of exceptional alumni, all of whom never cease to amaze me. I would like to thank and recognize the efforts of the Volunteer Selection Committee, all Memorial alumni themselves, and our larger alumni body spread throughout locally, provincially, and beyond. Thank you to Isaac Edejuan, a 2016 Bachelor of Engineering graduate, Kanani Davis, a 2009 Bachelor of Education Native Northern Studies, Brad Hollett, a 1996 Bachelor of Business Administration, 2005 MBA, Richard Mandeville, a 2005 Bachelor of Engineering, Mimi Sheriff, a 2012 Bachelor of Arts graduate, Sharon Smith, a graduate of nursing 1979, and 1996 a master in nursing graduate. I speak for everyone in this room when I say thank you to the volunteer times that you guys have spent with the nominations to make sure that we have proper recognition for all the for all that people have done on behalf of the university. And I know I speak for the committee, all committee members, when I say we are collectively humbled and inspired by the accomplishments of our alumni. Enjoy your evening, and thank you very much.
This evening, we recognize 4 outstanding alumni. Through them, we hope to inspire other alumni and friends to engage in memorial, to build pride, and to shine a light on our alumni who have had the greatest influence in our community, our province, and our world. I've had so much support as a student during my time at Memorial, and all of which was enabled because alumni like you have chose to give back first. On behalf of my fellow students, thank you.
That's really true. The feeling of pride in the room right now makes me excited to become a member of the alumni family. In honor of the Memorial's 100th year anniversary, we have some previous Alumni Tribute Awards recipients joining us this evening. As I say your name, please raise your hand. Margaret Allen, J.D. Eaton Awards 2022. Over there. James Barn, Alumni of the Year 2005. Jessica Burry, Horizon Awards 2015. Courtney Clark, Outstanding Community Service Award 2020. Gary Follett, J.D. Eaton Awards 2017. Dr. Rex Gibbons, J.D. Eaton Award 2015. Jocelyn Green, Outstanding Community Service Awards 2007. Zareen Healy White, Horizon Awards 2022. Barry Perry, Alumni of the Year 2019. Elizabeth Scammell Reynolds, J.D. Eaton Award 2011. Heather Sharpter, Horizon Award 2002. Eleanor Swanson, J.D. Eaton Award 2013. Right there. And Clyde Wells, Alumni of the Year 1990. And of course, the 2 individuals now well known to the internal university community, but not, of course, at the time of their awards. Lisa Brown, Alumni of the Year 2020, now Memorial's Vice President, Advancement and External Relations. Chancellor Earl Ludlow, Outstanding Community Service Award 2007. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Also, in the room with us this evening are Memorial University's President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Janet Morrison, as well as university vice presidents and deans, along with nominators, sponsors, partners, alumni, donors, friends, students, and supporters of Memorial, everyone. A round of applause.
I would also like to acknowledge our dazzling orator, Provost and Vice President Academic, Dr. Jennifer Lokash. She deserves an applause too. Dr. Lokash has been the official orator of this event for several years now, and she's so good that we know she could host the Oscars. And of course, the alumni we are here to offer this evening. Margaret Butt, recipient of the Outstanding Community Service Award, which recognizes volunteer contributions to the community. Dr. John Jeddore, recipient of the Horizon Award, which recognizes an outstanding alumni 35 years of age or younger. Peter Carver, a recipient of the J.D. Eaton Award, which recognizes outstanding volunteer contributions to Memorial. And last, definitely not least, Emad Rizkalla, recipient of the Alumni A Year Award, the highest distinction bestowed upon memorial graduate by the alumni body.
Now, a few housekeeping items before we really get going. Although we are on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, we have alumni all over the world. We want to give our entire alumni family the chance to be a part of this celebration, so therefore, this event is being live streamed. We are now live on the Memorial University Alumni YouTube channel. Hello to everyone joining us online. Everyone wave. But for those of you who are in the room here today, and if you're looking for a washroom, there's one directly outside this room to the right. In the unlikely event of an emergency, we ask that you calmly head to one of our exterior exits, and all of which are clearly marked over there and over there. Once you exit the building, the muster station is towards the back of the upper parking lot. That way. And the cash bar is now open over there, and it will remain so throughout the evening. So both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks are available in addition to coffee, tea, and water right behind you over there. And please feel free to fill your cup up in any time during the evening. And reception will follow after the award ceremony. Before the reception and immediately after we conclude the award ceremony, we'll be taking official pictures of the recipients with the awards in the room to my immediate right over there. And please resist the temptation to congratulate the recipients until after the official pictures are taken. Please and thank you. There will be plenty of time to offer best wishes during the reception. And if there's anything else you need, you can flag down our helpful staff around the perimeters of the room. And now to something we need. As students, we would like to remiss if we didn't mention the 100th year anniversary student scholarships. Memorial is raising funds to provide 100 scholarships in the amount of $1,000. Any little bit would help, guys. If you find a link to the donation page on your table if you would like to support this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Preet. Bel Air Direct is here with us this evening as our event sponsor. If you didn't know, they offer special alumni rates on home and auto insurance. As a valued partner to Memorial, we welcome Max Mercer from Bel Air Direct to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Preet, and thank you, Russell. So good evening, everyone. First of all, it's an absolute honor to be here this evening with such an esteemed group of people. Tonight, we not only celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of Memorial University's distinguished alumni, we also mark an extraordinary milestone of the 100th anniversary. This centennial year is a time to reflect on the university's remarkable legacy of academic excellence, community, leadership, service, and to look ahead to the next century of impact. As a proud partner and signature sponsor, we are delighted to be supporting this event, shining a light on graduates whose contributions have shaped communities, industries, and our society. Their commitment to innovation, service, and leadership inspires not only the Memorial University community, but our province, our country, and beyond. So on behalf of Bel Air Direct, we congratulate this year's Alumni Tribute Award recipients and commend Memorial University on 100 years of success. Thank you for continuing to invest in our province's talent, education, community, and shaping the leaders of tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Max, and thank you, Bel Air Direct. And now it is my honor to introduce Memorial's President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Janet Morrison. Dr. Morrison has recently began her tenure here at Memorial with a strongly held belief that post-secondary education fuels human, economic, and social development. She is a huge advocate for student success, and we are so happy to have her joining us here tonight. Would you all please welcome Dr. Janet Morrison.
Well, thank you, everybody. And a special thanks to Russell and Preet. It is so wonderful to have our students here. So please join me in thanking them. This is what we do. This is what we do. So as I launch into week 9, and sometimes it feels like year 9, and sometimes it feels like minute 9, in my new role as Memorial's president and vice chancellor, I am more excited to be here than I was on day 1. My priority since August 11th has been on listening and learning, which has afforded me the tremendous privilege of hearing from community members and stakeholders about Memorial's history, its legacy, and its potential as we contemplate our next 100 years. It has filled me with immense pride. While there is no doubt that our learning community is under pressure and facing challenges, it is equally clear that Memorial has had a profound impact on learners, families, communities, our province, Canada, and the world since 1925. Tonight, in fact, is a celebration of that impact. The alumni we're celebrating tonight are exceptional. Their achievements, contributions, and generosity are an incredible testimony to their individual strength, their resilience, and their determination. They also, however, speak to why universities matter. Particularly at this moment in history, the transformation that happens every day on our campuses, and the contributions that Memorial makes to cementing Canada's future as an economically successful, secure, safe, sustainable, progressive, inclusive, equitable democracy have never been more important. You four and prior recipients of these awards speak to that reality. Quite simply, your professional, your personal and volunteer contributions as leaders, advocates, and change agents have made the world better. And based on our conversations this morning, I know that Memorial University played a role in building your capacity, fueling your potential, and inspiring your greatness. This is why universities matter. We fuel and propel personal, economic, cultural, and social outcomes that make the world better. Memorial continues to shape the future of Newfoundland and Labrador by empowering alumni whose work and leadership are transforming communities across the province and beyond. In the case of this year's recipients, they have pushed the boundaries of entrepreneurship, technology, and healthcare while instilling a belief in the transformative power of learning. It is a tremendous privilege to serve as Memorial's president and vice chancellor, and I am so proud to trumpet every member of our alumni community and their impact. Thank you, John, Margaret, Peter, and Emad, for your exemplary contributions to our university and to the world. Before I close, I want to acknowledge the Alumni Tribute Awards Selection Committee for their invaluable contributions to our university. I want to say a special thank you to Bob Dowden, the chair. The hours that he and his committee invest in reviewing submissions with support from the Office of Development and Alumni Engagement are just an incredible testimony to their views on Memorial and their investment in volunteerism. So thank you all. To our alumni, to our students, to our friends, thank you for being here this evening for this incredibly special celebration. I can understand why people describe this as a true highlight of the year. Please enjoy the evening, and I look forward to seeing many of you at future Memorial events. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Morrison, for the inspiring words. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our public orator, Dr. Jennifer Lokash, everyone.
Chancellor Ludlow, good sir, always a pleasure. President Morrison, welcome to your very first Alumni Tribute Awards event. Vice President, colleagues, and deans, it's awfully nice to see you somewhere other than a meeting. Russell and Preet, our charming MCs, lovely people, and especially tonight's incredible Alumni Award winners, good evening. The mindset of a quilter is one of intentionality, patience, and appreciation, both for the smallest details and the bigger picture. There's a steady resilience in a quilter's work, a willingness to sit with fragmentation and complexity and slowly render it into order, harmony, and beauty. Above all, the quilter's mindset is rooted in connection, connecting pieces, threads, stories, families, generations. In every vibrant community, there are individuals who act like the thread in a quilt, binding us together with care, purpose, and quiet strength. Margaret Butt, an actual quilter, I believe, and tonight's recipient of the Alumni Award for Outstanding Community Service, is one such person. Margaret's journey began in nursing when she graduated from the General Hospital School of Nursing in 1982, and then earned her Bachelor of Nursing from Memorial in 1988. She honed her skills as a hospital nurse in the challenging arena of critical care. And this compassion and determination to be present during crisis was not just a job for Margaret, but rather it was a calling. Though she would leave nursing eventually, that same vocational disposition towards care and community is evident in all that she has done since, and there has been a lot. She would expand her positive impact by joining her family business, Parkdale Pharmacy, where she led the home care services division. And she continued her leadership as a home health care specialist with Lawton's Drugs. She is currently the owner-operator of 2 award-winning Hallmark Gold Crown stores in St. John's and Mount Pearl. Hallmark's philosophy has always been that small acts of kindness can make a big impact. And this seems to be something of a personal mission and mantra for Margaret, too. Indeed, her generosity and leadership are apparent less in grand gestures than in everyday acts that bind us closer and fortify our connections. Her MO may be quiet, it may be understated, but it's powerful, it's impactful. Whether baking for church fundraisers, singing in the St. Andrew's Choir, growing and then donating her hair to support cancer patients, helping a Syrian refugee family navigate their healthcare needs, empowering young girls and women through her lifelong work with Girl Guides of Canada, serving on boards like Young Adult Cancer Canada and the Healthcare Foundation, or contributing to community projects like the Splash Pad in Bannerman Park, Ronald McDonald House, the Gathering Place, and the Chess Penny Family YMCA. Margaret shows up, ready to help and ready to give. She has woven her time, talents, and heart into countless corners of our community. Margaret would never seek out or expect the kind of recognition she is receiving here tonight. Ever humble, ever wishing to remain behind the scenes, Margaret would be the absolute last person to sing her own successes. With no fanfare, she established 2 endowed scholarships at Memorial in honor of her parents to support future nurses and pharmacists. She would never tell you that she has multiple times been a Paul Harris Fellow for her sustained contributions to Rotary. Nor does she want you to know that for years, with determined anonymity, Margaret has been Elf 342 to Bruce Templeton's Santa, responsible for delivering countless teddy bears and their accompanying joy. I'm sorry to out you, Margaret, but it's too sweet of a detail not to share. With her foundation in nursing from Memorial and a career that spans healthcare, business, and volunteerism, Margaret Butt has stitched together a life of service that has strengthened the very fabric of our society. I'd now like to invite Margaret up to the front, along with Janet Templeton, her nominator, to present her with the 2025 Alumni Award for Outstanding Community Service.
I'll be right back. I'm not very tall. There. Thank you, Dr. Lokesh, for your kind words. She's totally right. This is not, I'm usually out there. So I am deeply honored and truly humbled to be here with you tonight. This room is filled with incredible people who make a difference in our communities and our world, and I am simply one small thread in a much larger tapestry of kindness and great work. If there are any former Brownies here tonight, those three little words, lend a hand, may sound familiar. I learned them first at the age of 7, and without realizing it at the time, they became a lifelong philosophy, one that guided my choice of career in nursing and shaped my approach to volunteering throughout life. It's a tremendous privilege to be recognized this evening, and there are many people who I wish to thank. Like so many, I learned the value of giving at home. While my father was a known leader in the pharmacy profession, generous with time and his expertise, my mother quietly baked church cookies, cooked Scout suppers, and sewed skating costumes. If Heidi's in the room, she'll remember that kind of thing. From an early age, my brothers and I were expected to contribute, including donating a portion of our weekly allowance to charity. Those lessons stuck. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for setting the example. I also have to thank someone we all know and love, and that is Santa Claus. Many years ago, he told me about a child who had confided in him during a very difficult time in their lives. Unsure how to respond in the moment, Santa gave the child his very own teddy, his only very own teddy. As the Hallmark lady, I was able to source more of those very own teddies, and L342 was born. So thank you, Santa, for showing me that even small gestures carry deep meaning. Many of you know about my deep love for the Healthcare Foundation. Supporting the foundation has given me a way to give back to my own profession and help bring much-needed equipment and programs to the hospitals and healthcare centers that care for us all. That opportunity has been a gift, and I thank the foundation for allowing me to be part of its work. I've also had the opportunity to participate in leadership at other organizations, including Young Adult Cancer Canada. My years of nursing education and practice had not prepared me for the lived experience of young people impacted by these diseases. Pioneers in distance support, YAC has impacted the lives of countless young adults moving through life with a cancer diagnosis all over the country. Some have thrived, and some, the outcome has been much more difficult. YAC supports all outcomes for this population in meaningful ways. YAC's got their back. Thank you, Jeff Eaton and team, for giving me an opportunity to participate in this work to make differences in almost impossible odds. I'm also grateful to my friends and volunteers at Rotary St. John's East. You are mentors, motivators, and above all, true friends. The work we do together matters, and you inspire me constantly. To those who nominated me, thank you. There's a small crowd of you, and I'm grateful to each of you. They say it takes one to know one, and as the young people say these days, true that. Of course, I couldn't do any of this without the steadfast support of my Joe. He's the quiet one, always in the background, picking things up and putting things down, literally and figuratively. Joe, you keep the world spinning for me. I thank you for everything. And finally, to Memorial University, who got my start in this world. Thank you for this recognition. My time at Memorial shaped not only my education, but also my understanding of what it means to serve others with purpose and care. To now be acknowledged by the very institution that helped lay that foundation is especially meaningful. A worker bee is just one part of a hive, but it takes all of us working together to make honey. I'm just one little bee in a community of many, each doing their part to make this world a little better. So thank you and good evening.
Dr. John Jeddore is a proud Mi'kmaq physician from Auso-Miagij-Mi'alpukek First Nation in Conn River. His academic path began here at Memorial, where he earned degrees in biochemistry, clinical epidemiology, and medicine, followed by a residency in adult neurology and a fellowship in epilepsy and EEG at Dalhousie. Today, he practices neurology with Eastern Health, is a nationally renowned expert on epilepsy, and is an assistant professor with our Faculty of Medicine, where he is adored and respected by colleagues, students, and patients alike. John's story is not only one of academic and professional achievement, though it certainly is those things. It is also a story about personal courage and cultural conviction. Growing up in Mi'alpukek, he learned the Mi'kmaq language, danced in powwows, hiked ancestral trapping grounds, and drummed with his community. But when he moved to St. John's in 2006 for university, John found himself at a kind of crossroads of identity and purpose. Despite his obvious intellect and aptitude, he was not at all sure if university would be for him. Amid the overwhelm of being in the big city and away from community, he felt a dawning self-awareness that he was a kind of stranger among his peers. That realization came with a choice: blend in or lean in. John chose to carry his Indigenous identity forward with pride, and in doing so, he has become a powerful advocate for Indigenous voices at Memorial and beyond. While a student, he served on Senate, joined the Native Friendship Center, curated cultural exhibits, contributed to film and journalism, and worked with elders to learn and share traditional medicine. His Mi'kmaq Word of the Day series, which can be found on YouTube, is utterly delightful. And John's charisma, humility, and commitment to sharing his culture come through every video. I think he was 16 or 17 at the time. John had contemplated a career as a photographer or possibly a baseball player, I've heard, but clarity of purpose came in part from his grandfather, his namesake, John Nick Jeddore, and in part from Chief Mizel Joe, who, as John describes it, voluntold him to become a doctor. And so he became the first Indigenous medical student and the first Western-trained doctor from Mi'alpukek First Nation. The Indigenous ways of being and knowing that shaped his worldview continue to guide his approach to medicine, education, and advocacy. He brings to his work not only scientific expertise, but also the learned wisdom of his ancestors, an understanding of healing that honors the whole person, the land, and the community of relations. John's leadership has been recognized nationally, including receiving the Inspire First Nations Youth Award when he was just 24 years old. He has also been honored with the Charles Nardini Memorial Award, the Lormier Scholarship, and the Arnold P. Gold Foundation Award for Compassionate Mentorship. Most recently, he's been recognized by Memorial as one of the champions in the Centennial 100. Throughout his career, John has remained a tireless voice for equity and justice, for truth and reconciliation. He has called out racism in healthcare, represented Indigenous voices in political spaces, and mentored youth through science and leadership programs. His work is a living example of how Indigenous knowledge and Western medicine can walk together, each enriching the other. The evocatively named Horizon Award recognizes the achievements and contributions of alumni who are 35 or younger, who embody all the shining promise and potential of a new day. Our 2025 recipient clearly has achieved and contributed much already, and through his life and work, he is showing us the power of Indigenous knowledge to shape a more compassionate, inclusive, and culturally aware future for us all. It's my honor to invite Dr. John Jeddore up to the front, along with Dr. Dolores McKean, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, who will present him with his award.
So I was told I have 3 minutes. Is that right? Whether will agam said when Nindelois is Hangirolak Nindamidala when Alsami Ajit Miabegun Wigarik Lahongok. I assume no one knows what I said, but so I could have said anything. That was an incredible. I'm not used to hearing things being said about myself like that, so I apologize for taking a minute to just try to digest everything. I'll start with 2 quick stories. People who know me know I have about 6 stories that rotate in my brain. So my parents, Lonnie, my mom, they'll know these stories off the back of their head, but hopefully some of you haven't. When I was introduced to use the term also Miyaji Miabugeg. Miabugeg is the community I'm from. It refers to the middle tidal river, the estuary. But the also Miyaji is it's a difficult word to think of from a Mi'kmaq point of view. Also Miyak is what you say when someone's being too much. So if they're kind of being a little bit too boisterous, you say also Miyak. And Jeech is a suffix that refers to too little or too small. So it's too much and too little, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense as a term. And the reason came to be was when Carver was battling with the Peckford government at the time, and we finally got reserve recognition. They said, "What do you want to call yourselves?" And they said, "Well, Miabugeg, but we'll add also Miyajic because it's because our reserve land is too much land for Peckford, but not enough land for us." And so that continues to be the term since then. As mentioned before, I come from a strong family, both Mi'kmaq and non-Mi'kmaq family. The reason I'm here today is because of the people that got me here, just like everyone else in this room. So my father is a proud Mi'kmaq man from Carver, Miabugeg. He worked as a wildlife enforcement officer who understood the plight of the people who needed meat and would keep that in mind when it came time to enforce the law, which was the Mi'kmaq way. And then also my mother, who is she's from Black Marsh Road, but a teacher who moved to Con River and realized the beauty of the community and the people, and saw that the church and we all know the atrocities associated with the church and in not only Mi'kmaq but First Nations culture. she saw that that language and that identity was disappearing. So as a non-Indigenous person, she moved to another reserve, learned elements of the language and brought it back to Cotton River and introduced it in the music curriculum. And she didn't do it for herself, and my dad didn't do that for himself. He did it because it was the right thing to do. And I think that that's, again, the reason that a lot of us are recognized, because we do these things not because we want to be up here. I'm happy to be here, but this was not the end goal for the things that I do. You do it because, I do it because I remember what it was like at the age when I came here and I left a school, K-12 school of 100 people, and sat in a classroom of 100 people, and I felt alone in that group. So ultimately, I'm over 3 minutes, so I don't want to take up any more of this time, but the other quick thing I just wanted to say was the best advice that was given to me by a family member when I went to pursue medicine, and then I went to neurology. When I finished medicine, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and a family member said, you have to plot on a graph where your passion is and then where the community need is, and where that meets is what you have to do. And that's where I came into neurology. And I think as a neurologist, for those who don't know, we're considered the diagnose and adios. So we see patients with brain dysfunction and we say, you have this debilitating neurologic disorder, I'll see you later. Because unfortunately, as much as I feel like we've come so far in neurology, there's still a lot we can't do. And I feel that from the outside looking in, there is a notion that we always must fix in medicine. We have to reverse the pathology. I did neurology because I understand that there are things that I can't undo sometimes, but I can be there for the patient, and I can take on that honor of going through the disease process with them as being their person as they navigate the healthcare system, as they navigate pathology until the end. All that to say, thank you. I'm over time, and I'll move on. So thank you. Thank you.
So I attended my first Toronto alumni event this past spring, where I had the pleasure of meeting Peter Carver. Those of you who know him will not be even a little surprised to learn that I found him to be extremely engaged and engaging. So genuinely excited about his role in fostering alumni connection with Memorial, and on such an effective charm offensive that it made me want to write a check and be part of whatever it was he was talking about. And that is some secret sauce that I hope our development team has figured out how to bottle. Truly, Peter is an inspiring model of alumni engagement and a most worthy recipient of this year's J.D. Eaton Award, which recognizes superior leadership and volunteer contributions to Memorial. It is no hyperbole to say that the work Peter has done in support of our fine university has been transformative, and that Memorial is stronger, prouder, and more connected because of him. In 1981, he graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce honors co-op from Memorial. We will forgive him for scooting off to Queens to do a quick MBA in 1982. Since then, he's built a successful career in real estate and a good life in Toronto. Again, we'll forgive you. He leads the Carver Group, an entrepreneurial real estate investment company with assets across the country. But it's not really his success in business that we're here to celebrate tonight. It's his heart and his hustle. About 15 years ago, Peter reconnected with Memorial through the Affinity NL event in Toronto. Most folks would have shown up, had a yarn, gone home out of it. Not Peter. He looked around and thought, this could be something bigger. And just like that, he went from guest to visionary, proposing a hub and spoke model for alumni engagement with a central active alumni network in Toronto that could be replicated in cities across Canada. Peter leveraged his network and built the GTA Alumni Advisory Board from scratch, Memorial's first organized alumni board outside the province. And under Peter's leadership, it didn't just host events, it threw proper Newfoundland-style shindigs. Pub nights, cultural evenings, mentoring sessions, a photography auction featuring Ned Pratt's work, and recently a high-profile event with Premier Fury about our province's emerging role in energy, innovation, and hydropower, both raising money for student scholarships and further positioning Memorial at the center of critical conversations about the future. Peter has contributed to Memorial in other significant ways as well. With his 3 siblings, he established the Mun Varsity Hockey Oren Carver Award in honor of their father, Coach Oren Carver, a legend among these parts, who led Memorial hockey teams to 3 Boyle Trophy championships. Through this athletic scholarship, Peter ensures the values of teamwork, perseverance, and a good slapshot live on. Peter remains an active member of the GTA Alumni Board, and he has offered wise words to Memorial presidents in his role as chair of the President's Advisory Council. And when he's not busy transforming the national landscape of alumni engagement at Memorial, he's enjoyed coaching his son Liam's hockey team, despite calling himself the least qualified coach in minor hockey. If sheer enthusiasm counted for anything, he'd be coaching the Leafs by now. Please join me in thanking Memorial's greatest cheerleader, our unofficial ambassador to the mainland, Peter Carver, for ensuring that alumni remain not only connected, but committed too. I'm delighted to welcome him up to the front, along with Dr. Penny Blackwood, former Executive Director of Development and Alumni Engagement, who has graciously returned from her well-earned retirement travels to present him with the 2025 J.D. Eaton Award.
Thank you very much, Penny, for coordinating that. It is true that I am the least qualified coach in hockey. That part is flat out true. I did replace a guy who couldn't skate, so I was at least an upgrade in that regard. A couple of things that Dr. Lokesh said are not quite true, which is we didn't establish the scholarship fund in our father's name. Several of his hockey teammates or his players were the creators and drivers behind that, in which we really appreciate, and we're very happy to participate in that. And thank you, Dr. Lokesh, for your kind comments again. I also have a well-earned reputation in the GTA in Toronto and the Affinity Group of hearing a Newfoundland accent somewhere on the street, finding out that they went to MUN, and then trying to call them in and get them involved in an alumni engagement in the GTA. So Preet and Russell, you two are fantastic. Thank you very much. And if you do find yourself in the GTA, we have a role for you for sure. I had the chance, I remember meeting Dr. Eaton a couple of times way back in the day, and you know, he's a great guy, and then you read about his contributions to Memorial and to the province, and it really is an incredible honor to receive this award in his name. I'd like to congratulate Emad and John and Margaret for their contributions and their recognition tonight, as well as anybody else who's in the room and not, who have received these awards in the past. And you know, to be quite honest with you, when I look at everybody's contributions and everybody's successes, I get the feeling that I've maybe wandered in the wrong room. I should go check the plaque by the door. Maybe I'm supposed to be down the hall or something. I want to thank a couple of people for being here, classmates from my class of 1981 who are here tonight and in support. I really appreciate it. And it's great to see some people I haven't seen in a long time. Great friends, Colin and Mary Jo, have come down using this trip as sort of an excuse or a pretext for their first time in Newfoundland. And we had a lovely July day out in Cape Spear this afternoon. And also Mike Power, who's been a long time accountant and business person in St. John's and in Newfoundland. He's been a long time and probably long-suffering, maybe more accurate description, advisor to my siblings and I, but a good friend and confidant to me. You know, this might sound cliche because people often say this in this position, but you know, this award is not really about me. It's about the people who have been involved in this process that I've been on. And I'll give you a couple examples. And Dr. Lokash sort of gave you some of the hints on this already. You know, I was involved maybe 15 years or so. Lynn Squires, the incredible Lynn Squires, and I debate this was about 15 years ago on this affinity night. And then, but I did have this meeting with also equally amazing Penny and say, look, you know, maybe we should go at it this way. And we also had a separate kind of alumni board that was more sort of informal. And Dee McDonald chaired that, did a great job, but he was stepping down, and they asked me if I wanted to chair it. And it was at that point we said, but they also said, Lynn and Penny said, we think there's an opportunity here in the GTA to get more people engaged. We sense that more alumni want to get connected back into the university, and we want to see if we can capture that. So this is where we came up with this idea of reimagining how to do alumni engagement in the GTA, brought all the activities in under us so that we could sort of get our control on it a bit. Brought in some people were cycling off the board. We brought in some new people. Everybody kind of bought into the mission and what we were trying to accomplish. And we went at it. And we had some pretty good success, right? Through a variety of activities like this affinity night and some pub nights. They used to all be run out of here. An evening at the Art Gallery with Ned Pratt, at the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, with their blue whale exhibit. And others, and some good luck, and some sponsorship from Johnson Insurance. We'd like to acknowledge now Bel Air Direct for all their support. And good luck. We had some success. Probably good luck for us, not so much for the blue whale, I'd say though. Today the board is chaired, mostly younger members, chaired by Tammy Ring after Dave King and Joy Richlick did it and did successful stints at the job. They're all young, they're dead smart, and they're dead committed to the cause of alumni engagement in the GTA. And there are a couple of oldies still kicking around, David Cohen, Tom Harrington's come back onto it, and me. And we're still adding to the GTA Alumni Fund, and we're still having success with events like the Premier Fury event. Again, another piece of good luck. He happened to resign just as we announced the thing, which made him a little more candid than maybe he would have been in some of his remarks. So that all continues today. And everybody that's been involved in this process, and I've been involved in it for about 15 years or so, has contributed to that success. So that's one example. The piece on me referred to me as a cheerleader for MUN. I really like that. But that's not an unusual thing. You just ask Mark Dobbin. Another correction, by the way, Mark chaired the President's Advisory Council, not me. Mark got the great idea, and it was a really good idea, that we should have a President's Advisory Council here at MUN. They went out to 40 alumni to see if maybe 10 or maybe a dozen would be interested in participating on this President's Advisory Council. All 40 of them said yes. All 40 of them were willing to put aside time on a quarterly basis to get on yet another Zoom meeting they probably didn't need to have, and help the university through their advice and their wisdom and their knowledge. So there were 40 cheerleaders, and probably the only reason it was only 40 is they didn't ask 50 or 60. It might have got to that number if they had gone that high. There was actually a kind of a funny moment. I found it funny anyway. We had to introduce ourselves in the first meeting. This was all by Zoom, and this was in the dying stages of COVID. So Alan Doyle was on it, and Alan was still grounded. Alan, as everybody knows, loves to tour, but he was still grounded. He wasn't touring. So he introduced himself with the remarkable understatement of being an out-of-work musician. And so Jamie King, not to be outdone by this, an understatement, announced that they had had some success with a startup company, which is remarkable. What else I'd say here? So again, I think this is all about recognizing everybody who volunteers, and everybody in this room probably does a fair bit of that. But I actually think there's more that we can do. I think that there are existing markets that we're in already in Halifax, Ottawa, Toronto, Calgary, Houston, New York, London, England, where we're doing some alumni engagement, and they do it very well in those markets in ways that suit them. And there are other markets that we can reach as well. Southwestern Ontario, I think, is a natural for us. I already know somebody who wants to help us out there. Greg Barrett, I hope you're watching. Vancouver, I think, would be a spot we should go. And then Preet touched on it globally. We now have a whole pile of alumni from all over the planet that want to connect back to the university. And I think we've got some ideas on how we can reach out to them. One final thought, and Lynn Squires will say that I say this any opportunity, any mic I get in front of, I'll say this, and there's probably truth in that as well. And I came up with this a couple of years ago. Memorial University occupies a place of prominence here in its province, unlike any other post-secondary institution in its home province in Canada. It's not even close. College in North Atlantic, I think, could probably get mentioned in the same breath, but that's probably about it. And I think the university represents an incredible asset for the people that's probably underused by the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, and certainly underappreciated. And I think it's an opportunity for the provincial and municipal governments, for business and business associations, the arts community, social agencies, trade unions, to tap into that expertise that's in the university to help them in whatever their endeavors are. It's an incredible resource that I think that the province can use, does use, and I think it could probably do it better. To facilitate that, I would respectfully ask that the province work with the university to come up with an appropriate funding model to fund Memorial's activities, to help it drive the benefits that it can in Newfoundland and Labrador. Dr. Morrison has a challenge ahead of her, and she's well aware of that, but I know she's going to be up for it, for helping to understand what the requirements are fiscally as well as from an education perspective for the university. So I know she's going to do that, and I suggested to her today that she may want to make sure that she has a much stronger relationship with the Premier than maybe has happened in the past. As a small note, I would suggest to the Auditor General that Memorial University is not a piece of the civil service. You shouldn't rate Memorial University against the civil service. It's an institution of higher education staffed by researchers, educators, professors, and administrators. It should be evaluated against its own peer group. And a personal beef of mine and some other people, Heather hates this as well. It'd be handy if politicians didn't go on the open line shows and trash talk the university for cheap political points. In fact, the province has representatives on the Board of Regents, and those people could serve as a conduit between the province and the university for, what's the province got going on? Is there anybody at the university who's got expertise in this area? Yes. Or here's what we're doing in the university. Is there anything here that's of interest to you to the province? So I think the province could do a better job of working with the university. I know on our end, alumni here, and especially here in Newfoundland, I think there's an opportunity for better alumni engagement here and more focused and organized alumni engagement. But generally speaking, alumni all over the place, we're going to do our part to continue to support the university, to volunteer, to give advice, to give money, and so on, to help the university. And if we all do that and everybody helps out, then we can all stand and be cheerleaders for what Memorial does for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Thank you all for your inspiring speeches thus far. And thank you, Dr. Lokash. As is tradition, we will now enjoy a musical interlude performed by students from Memorial's School of Music before we move to the final award of the evening. Sorry, Emad, you've got to wait just a little bit longer. Tonight, we are proud to present Cayenne Trio featuring Nulibet Ortiz Dominguez on cello, Percio Dominguez on percussion, and David Egnurin on piano. These three accomplished musicians, originally from the Dominican Republic and Ecuador, have a shared passion for cultural expression, which shapes their vibrant and engaging performances.
That is the Cayenne Trio. Let's give them another round of applause. Ready? What began as a fake company for an engineering capstone project grew into a wildly successful global tech empire in a kind of Silicon Valley fairy tale featuring our alumnus of the year. Well, not exactly Cinderella. Emad Rizkalla's tale begins with a bold move, immigrating to Canada from Egypt at the tender age of 7. His family arrived in Newfoundland with little money and even less English, but with a wealth of determination and a spirit of resilience that his parents clearly instilled in their young son. As a student in mechanical engineering at Memorial, when many of his peers were busy trying to microwave ramen without setting off the fire alarm, Emad was busy engineering opportunity and setting himself up for success. That fake company I mentioned, that was B.Comm, and it would become Memorial's first tech startup after Emad graduated as valedictorian in 1992. By 2003, it employed 45 people and was on a serious growth trajectory. Fast forward, and Emad is now the CEO and founder of Blue Drop ISM, a globally recognized technology innovator that employs hundreds and transforms training delivery and credential management for rapidly changing labor markets that stretch across many sectors. Simply put, Emad's vision is reshaping how people learn, work, and thrive. And Blue Drop walks the walk. At Blue Drop, Emad has created one of those covetable, dare-to-be-different work environments you hear about, a corporate culture guided by a philosophy of fun, flexibility, and radical authenticity. Blue Drop is headquartered in a now whimsical but formerly derelict meatpacking building in downtown St. John's. The renovation of this space was an absolute saga that went way over budget, which is surprising because that never happens. But the result has bamboo floors, a floating catwalk, and actual weather-tolerant palm trees growing on the rooftop veranda. An excellent illustration, I think, of Emad's unique perspective and visionary ability to see opportunity where others see rainwater pouring through a burned-out ceiling. Emad has been so relentlessly innovative, a thinker so far out of the box that one could say he has dismantled the box, folded it into a rocket, and launched it into oblivion. And the world is paying attention. Emad is regularly sought after to speak at international conferences and in the media to governments, industry groups, unions, and corporations. His leadership has garnered multiple major recognitions, including a place on the Globe and Mail's top 40 under 40, well, not yet 30, a Time magazine cover story as one of 8 young, dynamic entrepreneurs who will create the 21st century, multiple awards for achievements in engineering, the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, and an honor from the Clinton Global Initiative for the development and implementation of his social enterprise, Dream Builder, which you will hear more about in a moment. All the while, he has remained actively involved with his alma mater. Emad Rizkalla is a mentor, an instigator, and a builder, not just of companies, but of futures. He's shown us that being different isn't a liability, it's a winning strategy. In fact, it's a joyous strategy. And he's reminded us that sometimes the best way to stand out is to plant palm trees where no one is expecting them. The Alumnus of the Year award is the highest distinction bestowed upon a Memorial graduate by the alumni body. It recognizes outstanding contributions, exceptional human values that are an inspiration to others, and an ongoing commitment to the Memorial community and beyond. I invite you now to turn your attention to the screens to learn more about Emad Rizkalla.
experience is certainly a big part of what has driven his success.
I've known Emad since we were both 13 years old, so I would have met him at Beaconsfield High School. One of the things that Emad does now in our older years, he makes sure everybody knows that I am slightly older.
I first met Emad as part of what was called the CSU at that time, and now mun.ca, and we ran for council together. You know how there are people that you don't know, but you recognize because they're vibrant? He was always one of those people.
He was written up years ago as one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time who would change the face of history. And you would never know because of his humility.
Emad is joyful. That's rare, you know. You can see inside him that he has never let go of that spark of wonder about the world. And that is such a beautiful quality.
You know, that tenacity and the faith that there is no other option. We have to get through this. Serves him really well.
One thing that he always did make me do is he made me be involved in my community and like volunteer and go to soup kitchens and give out Tim Hortons gift cards to the less fortunate and that sort of stuff. I think those moments where I was able to help somebody else, they're really the only things that I still carry with me, that I still feel, I guess, good about.
I think he does embody the spirit of what this award is about. It's about somebody who obviously graduated from Memorial, who then used what the university could offer to that person and bring it back to the community.
The connection with the university is really clear. You know, you have raw material coming in, the best and the brightest and the smartest and the most innovative, and you create the environment for that to be incubated. And then he took that and ran with it.
Throughout the years at Blue Drop, Emad has always worked very closely on several committees, always formed great relationships with faculty, with the MUN president and executive, always looking to further the advancement of Newfoundland, Labrador, and of the university in general.
He's a thought leader in all of the community efforts that he gets involved in. He believes strongly in the value of education, and I can't think of an alumnus who has represented us any better than that. Very deserving.
Emad was recognized in 2013 for this program called Dream Builders with the Clinton Global Initiative. It's an online program where women can create and grow their businesses. It is now in 75 countries, I think. About 200,000 women have been able to use this platform to really build their dreams.
We had traveled to Nairobi and we had an Uber driver there. His name was Wilson. Emad wanted to include Wilson in on our whole trip, and he drove us around for a couple days. We then funded and supported Wilson to leave his career as an Uber driver. True Blue Group put him through college. I think it really explains the spontaneity, the care, and thinking outside of the box, you know, that Emad has, and wanting to make sure everyone has an opportunity.
What I see is like someone who has a full heart, who always cares about the people around him, and who wants to help other people, even if it's at his own expense sometimes. I think the main thing that I got out of my father's wisdom is that, you know, a life with a full heart is a life worth living, and it's always good to be considerate of those around you.
honored guests, university folks, those tuning in online, thank you for your attention. It's a pleasure to be part of this celebration every year. As my final task, please join me in congratulating the slightly wacky but very wonderful Emad Rizkalla. I now invite him up to the front with Heather Shapter, who will present him with the 2025 Tribute Award for Alumnus of the Year.
I kind of relate to what you said, John. I don't just processing it. I had no idea. I knew there was a video, some kind of video coming out, but boy, that really touched me. So I'm truly speechless. But don't panic, everyone. I brought a speech because I have a perfect record of never being speechless. So I'm prepared. It's not going down tonight, Lisa. Lisa and I have been saber rattling about how much time I can take before this, and it was getting pretty heated and nasty. So I'm just going to reach out to everybody here, and if I go a little bit too long, please stand up, and then that way I can stop. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. And in my defense, because I will go a little bit longer than I've been allocated, like twice or 3 times or 4 times, but in my defense, I have, you've heard of wardrobe malfunctions. I'm having a speech malfunction. So my son, which was really touched Lucas, that was really beautiful. I asked him to print off my speech, and apparently we don't have red toner, so I had a lot of red in there. So this is what a page looks like right now. So I think I can be given a couple of extra minutes for dealing with this situation here. Yeah, so it is a speech malfunction, and that's why I'm going to go long. So some people here tonight might assume that there were early indicators in my youth that would foretell today's award. But if you knew me as a student, I'm pretty confident that you'd bet every dollar you had against this moment ever happening. I failed my first year of engineering. I repeated 13 courses. In term 4, I had a habit of walking around upstairs in the S.J. Carew building, looking at the crazy photos of the 70s graduates, right? They're pretty freaky. If you haven't been in the engineering building, go out and have a look at those photos. They're pretty freaky. But I would look at these people and wonder if my picture would ever get up there. And I'd also wonder if I would look as freaky 20 years later to the kids coming up after us. So I was more likely to think that, my fate would be not making it through engineering rather than being here and being truly honored. Most of my mechanical engineering class back then competed on something we called anti-Keenerism. Like we weren't, there was a few Keeners, but most of us were, how much could you be anti-Keen? How can you maximize the marks to work ratio? And what is the most outrageous thing you can do to be anti-Keen? So a friend of mine is here today, and I'm going to share with you one story just to give you a flavor of the kind of crazy things that were happening. So Greg Drodge is here today. One time on a Sunday night, we were all in the engineering building, and we had a fluids exam the next day, and people were really struggling. No one had a clue. So most of the class was there. We had a small class of 23. And then this crazy idea started circulating that I should be voluntold by the class to call the prof Sunday night, 10 p.m., and ask him to delay the midterm. And, I kind of protested for obvious reasons, but one of the reasons was I never went to any classes that term. The prof didn't even know who I was. So we had a standoff for about half an hour, and people got more and more desperate. Then finally Greg said, look, I don't mind if it was me calling, I just don't know what to say. So why don't you pretend that you're me and call him? And, Greg has a charming dialect from Little Heart's Ease. I do not. I did call him, and we did get the, it worked somehow. I don't know how that happened. So that's another thing that would never happen at another university. So way to go, Memorial, calling the prof and delaying the exam. I'm very, before there's an investigation, I'm going to stop sort of with the stories there, because I don't want an investigation of whether, my degree is at risk or anything. I just want to start by saying that I'm enormously, enormously proud to be a Memorial graduate. Memorial University is the life and blood of the province's economy, its culture, its society. It's so important, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to get to say that. And I think Memorial provides what the world needs most today, which is flexible, authentic, and thoughtful graduates who are comfortable in their own skin. AI is going to do everything else. That's all you got left, right? So, the culture is so important, and the culture of the province is in the university, and the university is part of the culture of the province, and it's a great symbiotic relationship. So I wanted to honor Dr. Dempster. I invited him to, I don't think he made it tonight, but Dr. Dempster, who was our professor for that Term 8 project that we used to start the company. I had a crazy thought that we could apply for funding and commercialize our class project. I sheepishly asked him about it, and he was so positive and encouraging. I actually had one of the people in my group say, "Don't do that, I don't want to mess with our marks. Do not ask him." And when I asked him, he was like, "You should do it." So that little bit of encouragement, that positive affirmation, is what led to all of this. And it's just an amazing sort of testament to the power of an encouraging word. We got $13,000, by the way. That was the mother lode that started the company years ago, from Dr. Dempster's pushing me to talk to them. It was also Dr. Dempster who told us in our very first week of engineering, when you guys graduate, the guys with the B's will be working for the guys with the A's, and all of you will be working for the guys with the C's. How prophetic. It really, I was dangerously close to a B in Term 8, but I managed to pull it back and slip right back into C territory. Otherwise, none of this would have happened. So since that inauspicious beginning, my career as an entrepreneur has been like, if any Seinfeld fans, like Kramer Fantasy Camp, it's like fantasy entrepreneur camp, right? World leaders, global media, like it just doesn't make any sense, clients like Golden State Warriors, Cisco, Boeing, it honestly sounds fantastical and made up. I scarcely believe it myself. But it's all true. There's been a lot of travel. I mean, Tom talked about our trip to Kenya, I was going to make a joke about Uruguay, but I'm not, because in the interest of time. Anybody here from Uruguay, by the way? Okay, no. Now I know I'm creating a lot of awkwardness now, so I'll tell you about it after. There's nothing about Uruguay. It has to do with global travels and the country being started by urologists, but I'll stop there. Again, I'm sorry because of the printing issue here. I'm trying to see what I got here. I honestly don't think, and I'm honored to be in the company that I'm in. I mean, just amazing stories. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this. I know I wanted to thank Heather Shapter and John Kiersey, who nominated me. Apparently, it's not an insignificant amount of work. This wasn't the first time they nominated me. I'm not supposed to know that, but I think they nominated me like 18 or 19 times before the committee finally said yes. And I certainly look forward to another nomination next year. If Trump is going to run again, then I think I could also have a shot at being nominated for next year. So when I moved to Kitchener-Waterloo for grade 3, I spoke no English. They responded by putting me in special ed for 3 years. So my first years in Canada were marked by loneliness, rejection, and bullying. We then moved to the bourgeois neighborhood, if anybody here from Toronto knows, Jane and Finch. That's where we moved there. Thankfully, we left when my father got a job in St. John's before I was murdered. So I moved here in 1980, in June of 1980, well before global warming had given Newfoundland its first summers. So it was, like hardcore time. It was rainy, cold, freezing, drizzle, every single day. I was like, what have we done? Why are we here? My only friend was an old man on the paper route for the whole summer. It's a true story. And I met him like once or twice a week around Kenny's Pond after I delivered the Daily Mail. And one day he asked me if I liked it here. And I remember blurting out the equivalent of, hell no. And then he said something about joining Canada. Years later, I was driving in the area where this man lived with a friend, and I noticed the street sign, Smallwood Lane. And something clicked. I said, hey, who lives down there? It was mind-blowing to learn that my only friend the first summer in Newfoundland was Joey Smallwood. If he were here today, I would tell him I changed my mind. I love this province so much that I decided to stay even when my entire family moved away. Although I had no boat to burn, I believed in his vision of a modern economy fueled by immigration. Today, I proudly stand here as an immigrant who's still in the first job he's stolen. When we started this pretend business in 1992, no one cheered. There was no parade. Linda Inkpen did, though, by the way. I just wanted to acknowledge you. You were the only one. There was no Genesis Center. She gave us some space at the College of the North Atlantic. But we were basically seen as delusional kids with no money, no experience, no contacts, no credibility. Today, entrepreneurs are lionized. We live in a culture that worships the founder and ignores the foundation. The foundation is the people. Founders are always one team away from irrelevance. So I thank God I get to work with my colleagues at Blue Drop, and I'm so happy to see so many of them here today. They're the very best. They're not just brilliant, they're not just driven, they're not just innovative, they're authentic and they're kind. They climb mountains before I even know they existed. And thanks to Derek Rowe, my business partner for almost 15 years, an incredible leader who's taught me so much. I went to see all the local startup companies or the local tech companies when we started. Derek doesn't remember this, but it's absolutely true, and it's an amazing story. He offered me a job because he said, we need someone in marketing, an engineer in marketing, and thankfully I turned it down. I would have had the first job in my class if I had taken it, but anyway, we reconnected many years later, and he's been an awesome partner. And I wanted to thank my former partner, Tony Whalen, who's in the UK tonight. I convinced him to quit his master's in electrical engineering to join our pretend company. We negotiated a competitive pay package, which included free parking, no salary, and 30 weeks of EI. Tony and I, that's a true story, he didn't have a salary. Tony and I split the company in half in 2004, and his size is probably twice the size of Blue Drop. So congratulations to Vision 33. People often talk about the risks taken by entrepreneurs. Truthfully, it's not hard to start a business when you have no kids, no mortgage, and no social status to uphold. I will tell you the real heroes of my story, my parents, and my mom is right here with me tonight. Imagine the guts it takes to start life again in a different country in your 30s, all with 2 small kids in tow. They were virtually penniless, and they didn't understand the language or the culture. When they are your role model, the risks I took pale by comparison. I've been rewarded for my risk-taking and sacrifices. I've been personally rewarded, but my parents didn't risk and sacrifice for themselves. They did it so that their children could grow up in a land free of discrimination, corruption, and oppression, a land where we could succeed if we worked hard. And today I would want to tell them that it worked. We lost my father a few years ago, and he was truly my hero. But I'm so grateful that my mom is here tonight. She would tell you that her memory is not as good as it used to be. And then she would quip, hey, I'm 84, what do you expect? So she's not here tonight so she can remember my story. She might not. She's here tonight because I remember her story. And this award is for her. I wanted to thank my sons, Evan, who is 12, and Lucas, who's 23. I know parents are supposed to inspire their kids, but for me, it's my sons that inspire me. Their kindness and love keeps me grounded. I remember Evan as a 5-year-old trying to convince me not to leave for business trips. He would claim that the airport was shut down. During COVID, he got a little bit more sophisticated and told me if I went to the airport, I would be arrested, so I shouldn't go. And when Lucas was 7, Blue Drop was developing some e-learning for Cougar helicopters. And one day I was driving past the airport with Lucas and his friend Terry, and Terry boasted, "Hey, my dad flies those helicopters." Lucas didn't miss a beat. He said, "Oh yeah, well my dad teaches your dad how to fly those helicopters." Checkmate. As an Egyptian Christian, I'm going to conclude by giving thanks to Jesus. I have experienced miracles in my life, and the fact that my family lives in an amazing country with boundless opportunity, freedom, that is a miracle to me. I remind myself that I have several cousins who have been kidnapped or beaten, one that was shot because of their faith. These are things we take for granted in Canada. The fact that I grew up in this magnificent egalitarian province with the most authentic people, that is a miracle. The fact that ACOA, the National Research Council in the province, supported us when we were still stunned as miars, as we'd say, and the fact that a $13,000 grant germinated several amazing companies that employ nearly 1,000 people, well, if that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. That investment succeeded wildly, but many, of course, won't, and we shouldn't expect that. And I think sometimes we have a tendency in this province to ridicule and shame people who failed or made mistakes. And that mindset is a clear and present danger to Memorial University. If we are not prepared to accept failure and some mistakes, we will reject much of the innovation and the transformation that we need and we crave. My final comments are for the young people here tonight, and they may be a little bit countercultural, but I guess you probably would expect that at this point. For me, success without gratitude isn't success, it's just empty metrics with your name on them. Yes, I worked hard, yes, I didn't quit, but so did a lot of capable engineers who still lost everything. So we need to lead with gratitude. And there's a lot to be grateful for in this country, and there's a lot to be grateful for in Memorial. And there's certainly a lot to be grateful for in this province. Success isn't about what you accumulate, it's about what you become. That's why I loved Memorial's new slogan years ago, becoming, become. I thought it was genius. And there's more truth in advertising than any of us can fully appreciate. So thank you very much.
And there you have it, everyone. How can you not be impressed and inspired by our 2025 Alumni Tribute Awards recipients? Once again, congratulations to our honorees this evening.
Thank you again to our orator, Dr. Lokesh. We'd like to say a special thank you to all of the colleagues, alumni, students, friends, and partners here in the audience. Thank you all for joining virtually and celebrating with us. This event cannot be made possible without your contributions, your help, and we thank you very much.
So, the stunning awards that you saw here tonight are thanks to the staff members in Memorial's Department of Technical Services and sorry, my apologies. To the talented folks in the Center of Innovation in Teaching and Learning, Memorial University, we'd like to thank you. And to our good friends to Memorial's Botanical Garden who provided our seasonal table decor, we'd also like to thank the School of Music and all their students comprising the Tide Quartet, who you saw in the lobby when you arrived, who will be providing music for the reception, so you'll be seeing them again. Thanks to Newfoundland Power and to Manulife for their continued support. And again, a big thanks to our event partner, Bel Air Direct. We couldn't have done it without all of your help. Russell?
Before concluding, I would like to encourage all of you to nominate a deserving alumni for the Tribute Awards next year. To be considered for the 2026 awards, get your nominations in by March 15th. Preet, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling so inspired after this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, Russell. And on behalf of both Russell and myself, thank you once again for inviting us to be a part of this very special event, everyone. Before the reception begins, please stand if you're able to and join us in singing the first and final verse of the Ode to Newfoundland, led by music student Peggy Kinsella, a fourth-year music student from Goulds. You will find the words on the screen in front of the room. And a final reminder to all the recipients that we are taking photos in the next door immediately after the ode. And audience members, we would like to remind you again, please hold your congratulations once more. I mean, right after we take the pictures. And please join me in a final round of applause once more for the recipients of the 44th Alumni Tribute Awards.
When sun rays crown thy pine-clad hills, and summer spreads her hand, when silvern voices tune thy rills, we love thee, smiling land. We love thee, we love thee, we love thee, smiling land. As loved our fathers, so we love. Where once they stood, we stand. Their prayer we raise to heaven above. God guard thee, Newfoundland. God guard thee, God guard thee, God guard thee, Newfoundland.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait.